This is Nithin Ramachandra from the NR Hour Sports Show, back with another episode. Happy Taco Tuesday. Yeah, Taco Tuesday. So we are live on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, on all the podcast platforms, joined by my co-host Kia Lyons from Philly. Go check her out. She does a great job with her stuff too. And joined by a special guest. Today we have a special guest. His name is Nate Turner. Nate the Skate Turner. He's a former Nebraska NFL tight end / running back. Man, what a great career he had. He played for the Buffalo Bills and Carolina Panthers. He got drafted in 1992. He played with a lot of great legends, and got coached by a lot of great coaches in his career. And also off the field, he used to be a coach, coaching young athletes off the field, and has academy. And but we'll get to all of that, and also his journey, career, life, everything. So fans, please tune in on the Spreaker app. You can ask questions to Nate today and interact with us. So first of all, Nate, thank you for joining us today. It's truly an honor, and I can't wait to learn more about your story. So how are you and your family doing today?
Everybody's awesome, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for taking the time, Nate.
Yeah, no problem.
Nate, take us back to first getting into football. What age were you? How'd you get into it? Any heroes? How did you get into it?
You know what? I ran track in grammar school. Really wasn't into football. Kind of my freshman coach, Coach Sesniak, he was like, you look like a hurdler. And I was like, you know what? All right, so I'm gonna try hurdling. So my freshman year, I played freshman football, and then track kind of took off for me. So I ended up getting 3 or 4 scholarship offers early. And then I actually, came in second in the state as a sophomore. And I kept getting bigger. I was getting bigger and stronger. When you get to puberty and then your body starts changing, I just woke up one day and I was a different guy. So those hurdles were getting taller and taller.
Wow.
But then I really wasn't getting any slower. And football just became the way to go. I was big and, kind of big and strong and fast before I should have been. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of developed early. And it was high school was easy.
Wow.
High school was easy. I was, 6'2", 215 pounds, and ran a 4.3. So that makes things easy when you're in high school.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Hey, tell our fans. I gotta take, before we get to your football career, I gotta take you back to the rugby league you were in, the World Sevens tournament in Sydney, Australia. Take us to that. What was that like? What was that experience like for you?
Well, so I was in Carolina rehabbing the knee, and Carolina wasn't going to re-sign me, so I came. I had an opportunity to go and play in the World Sevens team for USA. So I went over to Australia. They taught us the game. It was an unbelievable experience. And then during the World Sevens tournament, I guess I played well enough that the Parramatta Eels offered me a contract. So I stayed over there for another year and played professional rugby for a year.
How was that?
Which was awesome.
Was that violent? I mean, they taped your ears down, all that jazz.
It's a different violence, though. In NFL,
violence.
In the NFL, I can take off running and hit you 15 yards later. In rugby, it's constant. So you get up, you get up, and the tackle is right there. The tackle is going to be close. It's not going to be a build up of speed where you can really demolish somebody.
Wow.
Yeah. I know.
So
and NFL is brutal too. I mean. Yeah,
it's violent. It's very violent, and you have to protect yourself. You know what I mean? You have to protect yourself, and sometimes things happen where you're in a vulnerable spot. You know what I mean? Just like DeMar. Because you're taught from a young age to keep your pad level down, and low man wins, and he really didn't have an opportunity to get his pad level down. He got caught in the chest. You know what I mean? So, just one of those things that happens.
Yeah.
Speaking of DeMar, actually, let's talk about that real quick, because DeMar Hamlin, obviously tough situation. We were and what a remarkable recovery he made, a quick recovery from that thing. And I wrote a big article. Everybody saw a lot of I got a lot of great feedback from the article. And so for you, what was your reaction? Obviously, being a former Bill, but what was your reaction to that when that play happened? And obviously, and after that, everybody was concerned about him and trying to get his life back. And once you heard the news that he's fully recovered and back home and now talking, and he sent a message out recently too, on social media.
Right. Right. Well, the thing is that when you don't realize what you were risking, like all of a sudden you realize what you were risking that whole time you were playing football. And it's kind of, I'm telling you, I was on the phone. I got a bunch of phone calls. I was on the phone till 3 a.m. With just guys just wanting to reach out and say what's going on, and we need to get together more, and and because you realize that you're human, you know what I mean. And a lot of times you can't play the game without believing you're the baddest man on the planet. And that's the weird thing that happens. Like when someone gets injured, you really can't go see him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I mean, DeMar is a different story because he died on the field. That's one thing. But when I hurt my knee, nobody came to see me. When someone hurts their knee, nobody, because you can't see that. You can't see that and keep playing because you have to, psychologically, you have to be in a certain place, in a certain headspace. And seeing someone hurt reminds you that you're really human, and you're not this superhuman character that you've masked yourself to become.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I had seen and heard through the grapevine that like Jim Kelly's wife came in, they had like prayer groups, and it's just like that whole Bills Mafia just really came together. Can you share any stories about that? Everybody coming together.
You know what? The Bills Mafia is awesome. Yeah. They've been awesome from day one, and they've come together for many different things that people don't even know about. Like they've donated to many, foundations, and, guys that have gotten hurt, and guys that are just down on their luck. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's just how Buffalo is, and then the heart of Buffalo, and the feelings that they have for the team. It's unbelievable. It's an unbelievable place to play. And there's no real competing sports except for the Sabres, which is owned by the same owner now. Yeah. And it's, there's no basketball, there's no baseball. And from the top of the roster to the bottom of the roster, everybody knows everybody. I'm in Chicago, and it's like, besides a couple guys, you really don't know who these guys are. When I was in Buffalo, everybody knew everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and that's a difference, blue collar, hardworking town with a big heart.
Wow. That's special.
Yeah. So we are live with former NFL Nebraska tight end, running back Nate Turner. So tell our fans, Nate, what was it like playing at Nebraska? Obviously, you played running back throughout your college career, but when you went to the NFL, you switched positions. But for you, what was the playing for Nebraska, top college, and what was the fan base like there in Nebraska for you?
The fan base is rabid. You know what I mean? It's a rabid fan base, kind of like Buffalo. You know what I mean? I kind of was lucky enough to play in an unbelievable fan base situation in my college and professional career. And having the luxury of playing for Coach Osborne, mm-hmm. Who's a legend, and being able, and playing wing back, running back. Well, playing wing back, we rotated in every play. He used us to run the plays in. So, being in the starting rotation for 4 years, I was with that man for 4 years. You know what I mean? And it's just the knowledge and the learning, and the learning of how to be a good man. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't understand that sometimes it's not X's and O's. When you get kids to be good men, they're going to cross their T's and dot their I's. And that's what life's all about, crossing T's and dotting I's. Yeah. So, that's an unbelievable situation. And then going to Buffalo, and changing positions. But it was a change. I played tight end for probably a week and a half, and then they moved me to fullback.
Okay.
But they drafted me at tight end. And, and it was for one, the Buffalo Bills are just coming off a Super Bowl, so it's one of the second hardest team to make.
Yeah,
they got everything in order. So you have to find your way find your place, cut you out a little piece of that. You know what I mean? And try to meld in with the rest of the team. And, playing for Marv Levy, another Hall of Fame coach, is another, a cerebral coach and a player's coach, and we, and playing from there and going to Carolina was like a slap in the face, cold water in the face, because Dom Capers was a different guy. You know what I mean? It was like defensive orientated. We were hitting every day. Well, we called it Club Marv, we were in Buffalo because they were so old. Even when I got there, James Lofton and other guys were older. So to be able to be ready for the playoffs, you had to tail back the contact. So we did a lot of stuff in helmets, you know what I mean? And there was a lot of cerebral learning and learning the game, from a cerebral standpoint, and knowing, physically you're going to be there, but mentally you have to be there on top of that.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I learned. And going to Carolina, it was completely opposite. And it was, I think we went through 12 running backs because of with Sam Mills and Lamar Lathan, and just the contact was crazy every day, all the way to like Thursday. It was unbelievable. I lived on a lot of Vicodin and Tylenol and aspirin during that point in time.
Nate, talking about the cerebral, like a playbook, learning coach's way, and then taking it from the mental to the physical. Can you give us an example of where you had a moment of like suddenly it's going exactly as he planned, or suddenly it's totally different, and then you have to adapt? Like any moments like that?
You know what? I don't think so. I think you get used to playing football, and you get used to adapting and learning
to their way.
So. Yeah. And that's the reason you're at that level, is because you obviously were good at it. You know what I mean? I just know the moment I was in the huddle, and then I looked around the huddle, and it's like Andre Reed and Jim Kelly and Thurman Thomas. I was like, you know what? I think I made it.
I'm up in here.
Right, I made it. I mean, these guys I used to watch when I was in grammar school, and
wow,
here I am with these guys.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a come to Jesus moment. You know what I mean?
That's amazing. And what was it work with? Like, give us an example. Like, what was it like working with Jim Kelly?
Jim was phenomenal. You know what I mean? He's a veteran, a great guy. Took care of all of us. We had I think Jim got into a little altercation in Buffalo at one point earlier in his career, and then so therefore, from that point on, he kind of had parties at his house. So everybody would go to Jim's house, you know what I mean? And it would be like, if you were drinking too much, Danny would take your keys. It was just, family.
Nice.
And Jim was a big part of that.
That's great.
Hey,
and just being a phenomenal football player, and that no huddle offense was unbelievable. And I see, and sometimes, you see, just like coaching high school or watching college program, you see, you have a 7-on-7 period of practice. Sometimes Jim would be like, all right, we're going no huddle. And they would go boom, 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 boom. And he'd go 19 of 19, and it would take like 3 minutes. It would be over. And he'd be like, that, I just saw that's just unbelievable what I just saw. You know what I mean? That was unbelievable.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's special.
It's bananas. But that's why Jim is a Hall of Famer. That's why a lot of those guys are in the Hall of Fame, because they were consummate professionals and different. God touches some people differently. He touches all of us. But sometimes it's not fair, but he gives some people some more stuff than he gives other people.
How amazing that you were all together. They, like attracts like. It's magnetized greatness. It's awesome.
Yeah, he
and Andre too.
No, yeah, all those guys, James Lofton, Andre Reed, Don Beebe, the line, Kent Hall, House Ballard, Will Wolford, just all the guys. You know what I mean? And we used to have one year we decided on so Tuesday's the day off for the NFL. So Glenn Parker one of the offensive linemen had a piece of land that was pretty
Yeah.
big. So we decided, you know what, we're gonna have our own paintball tournaments. So everybody ran to the Salvation Army. We were all buying like, all the fatigues and all this stuff, and everybody went and bought these paint guns, and we go out there
That
and just have
hurts
them.
though. Gosh, watch our players.
Yeah, you'd have to tape cardboard under your pants, and you'd have to protect yourself. But talking about fun times and family, you know what I mean? And that's what makes, when you see a team like like the Eagles or like Kansas City,
Mhm.
it's a family and everybody loves everybody. And you can see that by the way,
Yeah.
Mahomes and Kelsey play, and it's like brothers, you know what I mean? And when you have that type of love, it's easy. Winning is easy because everybody's willing to give their left arm for the guy next to them.
Yes. And connected.
Right. And you can tell when somebody doesn't have that because they just play horribly. Like my Bears are like that, man. And it's horrible to see. And you're like, oh my God, I just like when is this gonna be over with? When are they gonna finally get some guys in there that care about each other? You know?
Do you feel like called to go in there and just like get them to gel and connect?
But it's something that's a front office thing. You have to get the right type of people. Just like I talked to Marv probably during COVID. It was the beginning of COVID. I had signed some autographs for a guy downtown, and Marv lives in Chicago. So it was myself. Marv came in after me, and then Beebe came in after that. And this guy had a hotel room full of Buffalo stuff. So we had to sign. And I talked to Marv. He was coming in when I was going out. And I was asking him, he was like, how did y'all do? He's like, we draft character. You know what I mean? You draft character.
Yes.
And a great player is one thing, but if you draft character, it's easy. It's easy. Football is easy when you got good people. When you got people that care, that truly care and truly willing to work, it's easy.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. We got a lot of good character. And how about the Kelsey brothers going up against each other? We got
go.
Andy Reid coming back in the house. This is exciting.
First time.
I called Kansas City and Eagles all year. I'm so excited.
Yeah, first time.
That's something.
First time in Super Bowl history that the Kelsey brothers will face each other. And it's going to be interesting if they do another podcast together.
I know, I'm waiting. Waiting.
Yeah, but, they will. You know what? And you could tell they're both good guys, and they both hardworking guys, and this how they were raised. It's how they were raised, and it should be fun. It should be fun.
Their mom has the split jersey.
Yeah.
Right. She wins regardless.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that when I see brothers play against each other, like Seth Curry, like that. But can you talk? So me and Kia we interviewed your former teammate Glenn Parker. He was on the show, so it was like 2 years ago, I think, 3 years ago, I'm pretty sure. But can you talk about being part of that? Obviously, the Buffalo Bills offense, and your defense was loaded too, obviously with Bruce Smith. But can you talk about the offense, being part of that team offense? Obviously, your big three was Turman and Jim Kelly and Andre Reed, but the rest of the players, man, they all contributed. You contributed. So talk about the whole collective offense when you were part of that during the Buffalo.
You know what? The thing is like when you have a bunch of guys with the same idea and the same willing to, everybody can't be the big cog in the machine, but everybody has to do their part. All the parts work together, the little parts and the big parts. So, it's just, you have to, and everybody has an ego. So you have to set your ego aside. And when you get a chance to shine, you can shine. But other than that, you just have to put your head down and bite down on your mouthpiece and get it done. You know what I mean? A lot of times my situation was short yardage, goal line stuff.
Oh, wow.
And, and so, if it's 3rd and 1, I got to get the first down and then I'm back out of there. You know what I mean? Because it's Thurman's show. And it's Thurman's show. So my job was special teams, punt return, kickoff return, and busting up wedges so that Steve Tasker can make some tackles. And that was fun. You just do your part, and enjoy everybody's touchdown is your touchdown, and when you believe that and you set your ego down, and that's when you really start winning, because everybody's having a good time and enjoying the success of the team, and not really thinking about individuals. That usually pans out afterwards, but you're trying to win as a team.
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head with the ego. I feel like that is such an integral part of winning. And tell us what it was like when you got to the Bills, because, when you're on a team where everybody sets aside their ego and it's just like, we all see the vision, we're going for it, we're going for the win, we are the win, and then we get the win. When you first get there, did you know any of the guys? Like, so on the Eagles now, we have a lot of coaches that worked with guys, a lot of guys from Alabama,
right.
A lot of guys work together. And then if they didn't work together, we got Jalen to bring them all together. And then the guys started doing charity work all together. And it's a great way to put down the ego and say, like, we're doing this together. So what was it like when you first signed to get that gel?
So I was too busy trying to find my niche, to really worry about. So I'm not Andre Reed nor Bruce Smith, so therefore I had to get in where you fit in. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it was a different time. It was a different time. Daryl Talley, who's the heart and soul of the team. It's like, you would get your ass beat. You know what I mean? It wasn't like nowadays where you see these dudes mouth off and all that stuff. I don't think there's some guys that wouldn't have made it on our team, like a guy like and Terrell Owens played for Buffalo, but he didn't play during our era. He would have problems in our era. He would have problems, you know what I mean? Because there's certain, you don't want to have one of them shower, one of them parties in the shower, and and you're invited. I don't want like, oh shit, shower party, like look around and be like, well, they didn't call my name. It's not my meeting. I'm not going. You know what I mean? You just like, but some guys get called to it, and you were forced to fall in line if you didn't fall in line. So, but it was just a different time. You know what I mean? Where you have, big brother, Daryl Talley, Bruce Smith, Cornelius Bennett. A lot of the defensive guys were the enforcer guys on the team, as far as ego checking. You know what I mean? Someone to check your ego. And then you learn. You watch, and you're like, okay, this is what I know what not to do. You see somebody doing, I know what not to do. Let me fall back and fall in place, and become a soldier. You know what I mean? Everybody can't be a general. Some you need a bunch of soldiers to win this game, and actually, the soldiers are the biggest part. And people don't realize that each NFL team is made up of guys you don't know.
Yeah,
you might know 3 or 4 guys, but I guarantee you, it's 45 guys you don't know. Mm-hmm. And those are the guys that make up the team. Those are the guys that are running down on special teams, risking their life. You know what I mean? On kickoff and kickoff return. Especially when I played, that's when they had you could put linemen in the wedge, and they would put guards in the wedge. And my job as a wedge buster was to go down there and bust that up. So it's just a different time. And nowadays, you got guys that are doing a bunch of charity stuff, and you're doing a lot of stuff outside of football, where we made stuff like we did we would have our meetings at Big Tree. I don't know if you heard of Big Tree in Buffalo, the place right there by the stadium for wings and stuff. We would have meetings there. We would do the paintball thing, and we would do stuff on our own. But yeah, I think just the time was different.
Yeah. No. Were you signed as a running back, or did you switch?
No, I signed as a tight end, and then they moved me to fullback.
Okay, fullback. How was that?
Oh, it's pretty easy actually, because they know what they're doing. You know what I mean? They drafted me in one position, and then they moved me to another, because that's when they got to know me physically, that's more of what I was.
Yeah.
So I mean, they pretty much knew what they were getting, but then they really knew what they were getting.
Yeah, you seem very agreeable too. Not everybody goes with the flow. You know what I mean? Like you're
what you gonna say? No, no, I'm not doing it. I'm gonna take my talents to Canada. It's only one NFL. You need to shut up and do what you need to do.
Shut up, yeah.
Yeah, speaking of that, tell our fans, did you get the opportunity to, like, for example, run the ball or catch the ball throughout your career with the Buffalo Bills? Did you get any plays where they put you on the outside or inside, or did you get any opportunities like that?
Yeah, well, you know what? That's the one thing that I could do is really catch,
Yeah.
and run around from playing wide receiver and running back in college. You know what I mean? And that's what made me a little different. That's why they drafted me at tight end. Because I was a big wide receiver, I was 235 in college, and then they asked me, "You think could you gain weight before the combine?" So then I got up to, I was 250 at the combine, and I ran a 4.47 or
Mm.
something like that. So like, okay, so you still extremely athletic, extremely fast for your size. So, and I could still catch the ball. So it was a bunch of opportunities. It's just that the opportunities didn't pan out when I wish they would have. You know what I mean? I had a couple big catches, against New England, a couple long touchdowns, but I think that my my niche was short yardage goal line, where everybody knows you're getting the ball. Like everybody in the stadium knows you're getting it, and special teams. So you get so I spent a lot of time with Steve Tasker, spent a lot of time with Mark Pike. God rest his soul, he passed away. And yeah, it's just my career went awesome. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
That's great. What is your college and pro? What is your one of your favorite moments ever playing?
You know what? So in college, I got the opportunity. I played in a bowl game every year. I played in 2 Orange Bowls, a Citrus, and a Fiesta.
Wow.
And I think those games were, and we lost every one of them because the quarterback spot when I was in Nebraska was strange, and then Tommy Frazier came in right after that, and then they were rolling because that's all we were really missing was that big time guy.
Yeah.
But I tell you the strangest thing to me, and a lot of people might not like this, but my most memorable moment, one was being in the huddle and realizing who I was in the huddle with.
I love that. Yeah.
And another one, I'm sitting in my locker getting ready for the game, and OJ Simpson goes, "Hey, Nate, have a good game."
Mm.
And I was like,
Yeah.
that's Juice, and he knows my name.
Oh yeah.
But the weird thing about that is that, so like during the court proceedings, it was a thing about these Bruno Magli shoes. And that was the game that he said that, because he did the on the field stuff during that game.
Yeah.
And the picture they showed in court, my picture was the next picture. So I saw my picture on the thing. It's weird, right?
Oh,
So
wow.
it's kind of infamous / weird situation.
Yes.
But I love OJ. I mean, he whether he did it or not, I don't think it takes away from what he was as a player. You have to separate the two.
Yes.
Yeah, so tell our fans about the transition period. Obviously, how tough is it for you leaving the Buffalo Bills, the team that drafted you, and obviously played with great players, but you went to Carolina. But NFL is a business, a lot of player movement, and you went to the Panthers the year I was born. I was born in 1995. The year I was born,
Right.
you went to the Carolina Panthers. But can you talk about the transition period for you? How tough is that?
So the lucky part is I went with a bunch of guys. So Bill Polian, who's our general manager, had moved to Carolina. He left and went to Carolina. So he took myself, Frank Reich, Don Beebe, Pete Metzelaars, and it was a linebacker too, I believe, and all of us. So it was kind of like Buffalo Bills South.
Oh, wow.
And it was, it was good, but then we were like, what the hell? This is crazy. It's like the way we practice. It was, you get used to a way, the Buffalo Bills, Marv Levy way, and then going to another coach's way, and just a defensive minded coach wants to hit all the time. Mm-hmm. And we were finesse, we were finesse team. We hit, but it wasn't every day.
Yeah.
And that was beating some guys up, and it ended some careers, it ended some running backs' careers, because I think we went through 12 running backs during that, from training camp through the end of the season. And I think I got hurt against the 49ers. And then my career was done after that, at least as far as football is concerned, because I played a year and a half of rugby after that. And then I came back to the Rams, and I was there for mini camp. And then my knee, I flunked the physical with my knee. But I was there with Ironhead Hayward, was an awesome guy. And, you know what I mean? Just the guys you meet and the guys you're around, and God rest his soul. But you see his sons are playing well. And I just, that's the fun part about it. The guys you meet, the characters you meet, and the stories you can't tell are the best stories.
I always say, what stories should you tell? I always ask
the stories you can't tell are the best stories.
What's a funny story that you might be able to tell?
Oh.
Any in there?
Well, so Ironhead Hayward, well, everybody know he had a food addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, they sent him to Duke. The Rams sent him to Duke to get it figured out. So he goes, "Hey man, let's go out tonight." Da, da, da. So we were actually staying in the hotel, and it wasn't nothing fancy. We were in St. Louis, and it was the craziest thing. He goes, so I get throwing some clothes. He goes, "Man, why you all dressed up?" He got on flip flops. I'm like, "No, we gonna hang out here, man." I'm like, "Okay, cool." She goes, "You want a beer?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll take a beer, man." So I go back to change my clothes to get some more comfortable. So he goes, "Man, there's a beer in the tub." So I go in the tub. It's like 2 cases of beer on ice.
Wow.
He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Who else coming?" He said, "It's just me and you, man." Just me and you. Then he's like, "I said pizza's coming." So I was like, "All right, cool." So pizza, I'm telling you, it was like 8 pizzas. It was like anchovy, like you can name it, whatever. It was all different types of pizzas. And it was just me and him. He's an awesome dude. He's funny.
Well, you gotta hit up Nick Sirianni, the Eagles coach, for pizza. He loves pizza.
Right.
He's the coach.
But
tell us. Oh, go ahead, Nathan.
You go.
I was just gonna say, Nate, tell us what it was like. Pre-game hype, either hype music or mental focus. How did you get game ready? Any routines?
You know what? I would listen to Tool, Rusty Cage before every game.
I gotta go play it.
Rusty Cage every game, and that was my thing. I don't know. I don't think I got real crazy excited or crazy over the top emotional, because you learn, especially in Buffalo, you learn the business, and I learned how to play professional football from a bunch of veteran professional players.
Yep.
So I came into a situation where guys had been to 2 Super Bowls, and they know how to do it, and they know how to practice, and they know when they need to turn it on, and they know when they need to relax, and and gain that strength and that rest that you need for and you learn the different speeds of the game. Like preseason is one speed, then the regular season is another, then the playoffs is a completely different speed.
Yes.
Completely different speed. And people don't realize that. Like, the game gets tougher the closer you get to the Super Bowl. It gets more violent and it gets faster.
That's like the college bowls too. You see those and I'm like, this is insane.
Yeah. Especially when you got those teams that have a lot of high caliber players, because those guys are high caliber players, you know what I mean? Yeah. And they're hungry. They're hungry because they're trying to get to the NFL. So that's even another level of fight, you know what I mean? Yeah. And when the kid is trying to really get someplace, you have and then there's a lull. Like if someone gets a contract or they're not in a contract year, you see guys kind of, back off. Or if they're in a contract year, you see them really working hard because they know they should have a payday coming up. It's just weird. Yeah. It's weird.
Yeah, it's also interesting.
Daniel Jones is a great example for that, from the Giants quarterback. He's in his contract there. He's a free agent now, but now he's going to get his money's worth after a year he had with Brian Daboll as head coach in New York Giants. Brian Daboll changed the Giants franchise in a quick turnaround, and now they he made Daniel Jones into like, I'm saying he's still just room to develop, but he got better from last year with Brian Dable.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And it's tough. You know, it's tough. It's tough to get better when you're already great. You know, these kids are great coming out of college. You know, but learning the NFL game is a different learning experience because you believe you're the baddest dude in the room because you were the baddest dude in the room. You know, in Nebraska, you come through there and you're kicking butt and taking names, and then all of a sudden now you're a peon. You look around the room like, I've been watching these guys since I was little. You know, and then the first time you get your teeth knocked out, and then you're like, oh shit, I need to level up.
Yeah.
And that was my level up guy was John Offerdahl. John Offerdahl played for Miami, veteran, probably should be a Hall of Famer. You know, he played 12, 15 years. And like I said, short yardage goal line was out when I was in the game. So therefore he knew exactly who was getting the ball.
Yeah, he's
all
coming.
the time. Yeah, so it was a headache every time we would meet. You know what I mean? And I was so happy when he retired. Yeah, I was happy. He retired. I was like, thank God, I don't have to worry about him next year. You know?
Hey, can you tell our fans? I'm just curious. Do you miss like the old school football the days when you guys played? Do you miss that?
Yeah, you know what? You miss the violence of it. You know what I mean? It's hard you miss the violence of it. And I think these kids have played, these kids that are 24, 25, that was when that 7-on-7 really kicked in and started, they started playing a lot of 7-on-7, which is not a lot of tackling going on. And now they have these different rules where you can't really attack a player like you could back when I played. And so you leave people open to a DeMar situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I guarantee you if that was Ronnie Lott instead of DeMar, it'd have been different. You know what I mean? Because Ronnie Lott would have been coming up trying to decapitate the kids. You know what I'm saying? He wouldn't have caught the tackle. He'd have came up and tried to destroy him.
Yeah.
Any of those guys, those Denver safeties back in the day. It was just a different game. And now, you had all the head situations and the guys getting concussions, and now you replace that with other injuries. Now you got guys, you risking, by the right timing, dying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I tell you what, that when Earl Campbell ran over that guy for the Rams, when they showed that picture, he put his helmet right in his chest. It just wasn't at the right time. Whatever they call that, the primordial, whatever the injury is, the reason why those young baseball players wear that chest plate.
Yeah.
And and it's just weird. It is what it is. You get God's gonna give you what he's gonna give you. Everybody, and that's the reason you play hard. It's because you never know when your last play is gonna be. Every play can be your last play. So therefore you got to give everything you can on every play. And that's why the game is so exciting, so violent, so, intense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can understand how you would miss the physicality of it. It's a result for all your hard work and what you're representing. Do you still get together? Do you do reunions with the teams, the guys, coaches, anybody?
Yeah, we're in Buffalo, we get together, every couple of years. I try to get back if I'm not coaching or if I'm not doing something, during the football season. But now my son is playing here. My youngest is playing quarterback at St. Xavier here in Chicago.
Wow.
Congrats.
So, yeah. So, it's a small college, but he's enjoying it. You know what I mean? He's doing his thing. And so I'm probably not going to be able to get back, because he's probably going to be playing. So, but it's you miss it. You miss the camaraderie. You miss the smells of the locker room. Even that's weird. Like you miss the smell of the locker room. It
Yeah.
stinks, but you miss it.
Yeah.
You
It's
miss it.
familiar.
Right, and you tell the kids, and it used to be the grass. Used to, they don't even have that really anymore. You used to smell the grass, the fresh cut grass. It
Yeah.
lets you know training camp's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, speaking of quarterbacks, can you tell our fans about Frank Wright? What was it like playing with him in Buffalo and Carolina? Obviously, a great coach and great player too. And now he's coaching his former team, the Panthers. And what's
Right.
it like to see a former teammate get stay in the game? Obviously, be an assistant coach, be a head coach, have experience, and get another opportunity at a head coaching job.
Well, I mean, you knew in the beginning that Frank was going to do something like that because that's what he was. You know what I mean? I mean, Buffalo. He didn't play a lot. He was too busy, monitoring Jim and walking around with a headset and talking to Jim. And he was coaching when we were there, but Frank was a great player, and besides, I think this year they broke our record for the greatest comeback of all time.
Mhm.
So
Wow.
we held that record for a while. We played the Houston Oilers, but that was Frank. That was Frank. Jim Kelly didn't play that game. You know what I mean? And actually, Frank has the greatest comeback in college history too.
Hmm.
When he was in Maryland, I forget who they played. They played Miami or somebody, and he came back, 30 points from behind. So Frank is just a great cerebral player, and cerebral players end up being great coaches just because that's just the natural progression.
Hmm.
Well,
So yeah,
yeah, that's
Carolina, Indianapolis had a good one.
Yeah.
They just had some bad injuries at quarterback and some weird things happen. And in Carolina, he's going to do well at Carolina as long as he can win the team. Because I heard that a lot of the team was wanting another coach, and so that's going to be you got to win the locker room
Yeah.
for those guys to get on board. Because if they don't get on board, you'll be out of there pretty quickly because nothing's going to work and nothing's going to mesh.
yeah.
And I think he's the right guy, the right person to fix Sam Darnold, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, no doubt. No doubt. And Sam's good. It's just little things like anything else. It's a bunch of little stuff. And Frankie will get to it. He'll get active with him and get to it.
But yeah, they got to love and respect the coach. So tell us about your experience in coaching.
Well, I love coaching. I love passing on knowledge to kids. And with my experience and the guys I've played with, kids tend to listen. They tend to listen to somebody that's been in a couple Super Bowls,
Yeah.
played in every when bowl games counted. When there was only 5 or 6 of them, that's when I was playing in bowl games. So it's a different type of coach that can say, I've actually been there and done that, and not just you have a lot of guys that are involved in coaching that aren't really coaches. They just trying to relive their dreams of things that never happened through these kids, and that
Wow.
ends up being the type of guy you don't want around your child. You know what I mean? You want someone that's going to pass on knowledge and not try to live something else out. But it's a lot. It happens a lot. It happens a lot more so than you think. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, can you tell our fans what? So obviously, before we get to the fan questions, we do like a fan Q&A at the end. But for you, can you just talk about what's it like being on podcasts like this one? And obviously, I saw your interview with my good friend Kelsey. She does a great job with her show, and she's a big time reporter
Right.
there in Fox. But can you talk about what's it like sharing your stories on these platforms?
You know what? I think it's cool. You know what I mean? It gives me a chance to get stuff out. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that, you don't talk about or you forget. And then all of a sudden in conversation, you remember. You know what I mean? That's just like, you start telling stories and then that'll lead to another story, which will lead to another story, which will lead to
Yep.
another story. And especially when you have as much, as many stories as I have. I played a long time, and just through college and through and through playing in the league and then playing in Australia and changing sports and doing a bunch of different stuff. So, I have a different platform to give to these kids, and tell them things from a lot of different angles, as far as being a star, as far as riding the bench, as far as, being the guy, as far as not being the guy, you know what I mean? And that's you have to be well-rounded as a human being. And sometimes that really helps you out when you have someone that's been there and done that, explain to you that it's okay. You know what I mean? It's okay to be a small cog in the machine as long as you're part of the machine.
Absolutely.
Speaking of
And
stories, obviously, I think it was 2 weeks ago we had LeVar Harrington. He told a lot of stories on the show, and also Dara Reed a couple of weeks ago. But speaking of stories, can you tell a story to us that you haven't told anybody yet?
Let me see. No.
All right, I'll ask you again with
You
a
know what?
question.
You know what? I came up in the it was the early 90s, cocaine strippers. It's just, I can't name names and I can't tell stories. It's just too much, you know what I mean? We had a good time. Believe that. We had a good time. We a lot of trips to Toronto.
Oh,
a lot
wow.
of trips to Canada.
How about this? I have two, just in case this is my last question, because we go to those fans and then they take over.
Yeah.
So 2 questions. I'm interested in knowing your key to balance during all this college, pro football, all of it. Just a key balance that you feel really was your key to just maintaining yourself and staying grounded. And then also, I always got to ask the fashion question. What was it like suiting up for the first time pro?
The key to balance is how you were raised, because everybody can't, everybody's not going to be balanced, and my father always told me, you know what, you are one play away from never playing again, and that you need to treat everybody the same, because as you go up, you will come down. And, if you start, treating people like asses, when you come back down, they'll be treating you like asses. So, you need to, respect everybody, treat the CEO and the janitor with the same respect, and you win. You'll end up winning in the end, because everybody will think, be like, Nate's a good guy.
Yeah.
Regardless of what they see on TV or what they hear, when they come in contact with you and deal with you, they'll be like, you're a good guy. Yeah. And as far as suiting up for the first time, it's freaking unbelievable. You can't, it's something, you've worked your whole life basically for this one moment in time, and now you want to hold on to it. It's like a wild horse. So now you got this wild horse that you've been trying to get. Now you're trying to hold on to it and stay on as long as you can. And some people are blessed to ride their horse for 10 years. Some people ride it for a year, or even just get into a camp and get cut in camp. It's a bunch of those. I've seen a bunch of that happen.
Yeah.
And you can't. And the NFL is so weird. You know what I mean? I remember. So we kept 5 running backs in Buffalo.
Yeah.
And so, like my first year, it was nerve-wracking, because I'm playing special teams. I'm learning the offense. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. But the second year, I kind of knew where I stood. So therefore, I really wasn't worried about it. I would just work hard, and it'd be like, hey, man, you kind of take on the same attitude as Thurman. So Thurman, it was people that came in all the time and be like, hey, man, let's study this. And Thurman was like, nah, I'm good. So you need to study on your own. You know what I mean? It becomes business at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna help you take my job now. We already have what are the makings of our good stuff. So we kind of stayed with that until, I think the coaches rode that until you couldn't ride it no more, and then they broke us all up. Yeah. Except for the big 3. the big four.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Jim, Thurman. Even Thurman got rid of Thurman when he went to Miami. You know what I mean? You know, Bruce Smith went to Washington. It got to the point, you know, I think did Daryl Talley leave? I'm not sure if he left. But I mean, those Daryl Talley. I don't think that just that 95, 96, 97, you know, they really shook that team up, you know, to the core, and it was done. You know what I mean? It was done. I'll tell you a story. I got a good story. So I've never really told this story. So we're playing Indianapolis. This is in 94 when we missed the playoffs. So this is coming off of the Super Bowl years.
Yeah.
And we didn't make the playoffs. Thurman had been hurt. You know, Jim had been hurt. Bruce had been hurt. Kenny Davis was the backup running back, and he had a clause in his contract saying he would get $500,000 if he had 600 yards for the year.
Wow.
He had like 540 because Thurman been hurt all year. We're playing Indianapolis, the last game of the year, and Elijah Pitts, God rest his soul, awesome coach. You know, he played for the Green Bay Packers back in those early Super Bowls. So Thurman goes down again against Indy. So I'm like, Cotton about to get his money. You know, you think like, Cotton, you gonna get your money. And then Eli's on the phone, and then you see the look on his face. It's just like a weird look. He goes, Nate, you're in the tailback. I was like, what? So then I go in the game, and Kenny takes off his helmet. Never saw Kenny. Kenny walked off the field and left the stadium and everything. I didn't see him until we had a Thurman's jersey retirement like 3 years ago. Yeah, it's about business. They know everything, and they know, you know, and that really told me it's business. It's business.
Wow.
Yeah.
I ended up with like 45 yards. So Kenny would have probably had 70. So he'd have definitely got his bonus.
Yeah. See, those are crushers. Those little clauses, they're mentally like it's destructive. It's personally destructive. I believe like what is for us, but at the same time, when you're sitting there and you're benched because they don't want you to get that money, and then you're struggling because you know you can perform. It's so hard on the players.
It happens. He walked off. Look, he walked off the field. He walked off the field. He walked off the field, left.
Yeah.
And when we got inside, he was gone.
Wow.
But he had a great career. He played forever. He played in Green Bay. He played all those years in Buffalo. Yeah. Good dude too. Great guy. That's why, you know, I was like, that one hurt. He's like, oh man.
Speaking
right. And then it's at the end of the game, and I'm like, well, shit. So they were like, get out, you know, stay in bounds. I'm running out of bounds because I want to get another play.
Yeah.
I want to like if I'm gonna be in here running, I want to keep running. So I'm getting out of bounds. Right.
Yeah.
right.
I'm running the ball.
And then, right. And then after that, that's when they shook us all up, and we ended up in Carolina after that.
Wow. Speaking of Daryl Talley, he did leave the Bills. He went to the Falcons and the Vikings.
Yeah.
Daryl Talley. Yeah.
Yeah, great guy.
Yeah, so before we get to our fan questions, I want to bring up something. Kia will love this, but so I just want to give a big shout out to all the NFL teams now who have female coaches on their staff. It's just amazing to see all these female coaches get a chance to be on an NFL coaching staff. And like I said, Kia is going to love this. Actually, there's a female coach on the Eagles staff right now. Her name is Autumn Lockwood. She is assistant sports performance coach for the Eagles, and she'll be the fourth woman and the first Black woman to be to coach a Super Bowl. What are your thoughts on that? That's amazing.
That's amazing.
You know what? I mean, at this point in time, it's a good time to be a woman football coach, or woman football, anything, or woman sports. You know, with anything to do with, you know, speed and agility and strength, you know what I mean? And to be involved on a high level, you're going to get the opportunities.
That's
you know,
amazing.
now that the floodgates have opened, once you get there, it's gonna constantly be an opportunity.
Yeah.
Once you get the first woman coach, and now you're not gonna be the last. You know what I mean? There are gonna be opportunities because it's a copycat league, and everybody's like, well, you know what? You don't have woman coach. Why don't you have woman coach? And then they got to give woman opportunity, and that's just fact, and it works out.
Yeah, shout out to Autumn Lockwood, and man, that's an amazing story right here. Fourth woman and the first.
Autumn, let's work.
That's amazing. That's an amazing story.
Right.
Let's get in that locker room.
Yeah, so you ready for the fan questions, the fan Q&A?
Yeah.
Oh, and we have to get before we do. I never have done this because Nathan runs the show, but I also want Nate's take on the Super Bowl just before we.
Oh, yeah, Super Bowl. Yeah.
Yeah.
So as an AFC guy, I love Kansas City. I love Patrick Mahomes and everything they do, but they don't really they're not really gonna have an opportunity to run the ball.
Yeah.
And the Eagles defensive line, and it's like they got 6 guys they rotate in. Those guys are fresh, and they are coming. They are coming every play. And when you got Ndamukong Suh, not even a starter, and he's making plays, it's a problem. And he went to Nebraska. I went to I don't know, it was a spring game or something, and he was there getting ready for the draft. And I saw him working out. It was really scary. Like, this dude is strong and mean and like different.
Yeah.
Right. Look, I played with Bruce Smith. It's not much anything scarier than that. Listen, I saw Ndamukong Suh. I was like, Lord have mercy. This game has changed.
Yeah. He's still going at it. What a heck of a player he is. And man, I'm going against the Eagles here, man. I got the cheese. I got my boy Patty Mahomes, and I had the opportunity to interview his father on the show. I think it was last year or 2 years ago, and I got to go with the cheese because obviously Patty Mahomes is special, and they both. It's gonna be a good Super Bowl. I think it's gonna be a high scoring game. This game is gonna be high scoring, in my opinion. But
yeah, I think that if Kansas City can't run the ball, that means the Eagles can pin their ears back and just come after his ass the whole time with all those defensive linemen. I think that's going to cause a problem. So I think I have the Eagles.
Oh, wow.
We're firing right now. We're due.
Yeah.
We're due again.
Yeah.
Well, you ready for this fan Q&A?
Let's do it.
All right. First question. One of our fans wants to know, where did you get your nickname, Nate the Skate?
So when I was in high school, I had a coach. My head coach was Frank Linty. Dave Linty is his little brother, and he had just graduated from DePaul. And as a sophomore, like I told you, I was running hurdles. Mm-hmm. So Ronaldo Nehemiah nickname was Skeets. So Skeets turned into Skate, which turned into Nate the Skate. So I have to give that to Dave Linty. And it was because I was running past everybody like I had on skates and they didn't.
That's amazing. It's amazing that you got so fast and just overall big too. You know what I mean? Like that's probably why your knee got hurt.
It was weird. Yeah. Yeah, it was weird. So, first day with new body and people bouncing off you and you're wondering what's going on, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird.
So this next question comes from one of my good friends, Rachel. She's a big Bills fan too, but she wants to know, does your team does your 92 team remind you of the Chiefs team and the Eagles team right now?
No, you know what, we are defensively, the Eagles remind me of us when we were, on top of our game. Mm-hmm. With Bruce and Darryl and Cornelius Bennett and Shane Conlon and, Henry Jones. We just had some great players that were playing at a high level. Offensively, with our no-huddle offense and that K-gun and, Jim throwing it around and then all of us filling in, filling each other, filling in the other parts of the game. I don't think we really don't compare because it was different. Like our team, it was more of a Kansas City-ish because it was more finesse. But I think that, it's a little different. So I don't think offensively we were different, but defensively we're kind of the same as the Eagles.
All right, next question here.
I'm hearing a win.
But you also have to remember we didn't win one either.
Oh,
But you're not playing
No
the Dallas
jinx,
Cowboys
Nate.
either. You're not playing the Dallas Cowboys either.
Whoa.
Because I tell you
oh
what,
my gosh, I can't even
listen,
imagine. If we
listen,
meet against Smithin.
listen, those Cowboys back then, I tell
Yeah.
you what, I'm not an Emmitt Smith fan because I believe if I'd have played in Dallas, it'd have been the same thing because those offensive line was so incredible and so you could drive cars. There were games where Emmett didn't get touched, so he was in the secondary.
Incredible. I was a fan.
It was stupid. And then
Hey,
they fell asleep
Larry
on
Allen.
us in Atlanta. When we were in Atlanta, they fell asleep on us, but in the second half, they woke up and it ended up being a problem. Because we were winning at halftime, and then all of a sudden it was dun 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 dun. And here come Eric Williams and all those guys, and they were just road grading people.
Wow.
Yeah, but hey, we had Larry Allen on the offensive line.
Oh yeah, strongest man ever. You know what I mean?
So the next question here, one of our fans wants to know if you weren't playing football, what would you be doing now? They want to know.
You know what? When I retired, I became an electrician. So I've become like my father's an electrician, so it was something I really enjoyed. And I worked at I was the union steward at Trump Tower when it came out the ground here in Chicago. And just dealing with being a union electrician, I really enjoyed that. So yeah, I'd have been an electrician.
It's a great deal.
So we'll take one more fan question here. The last one here, they want to know what was your favorite meal after the game?
Good question.
Wings from Big Tree. Wings from Big Tree, and people really don't know. Like they think they know buffalo wings. You know what I mean? You don't know buffalo wings. You had buffalo wings in Buffalo.
Buffalo Wild Wings. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different deal.
Yeah.
And just like you don't know tailgating until you tailgate with the mafia.
Nathan, we're due. We got to go see.
I want to tailgate with the Bills Mafia, man. I got to interview some of these fans during the tailgate.
Pinto Ron. Remember
also get drunk with the fans too.
Pinto Ron. You got to be part of that. You got to be part of that. You got to put some ketchup and mustard on Pinto Ron. Crazy.
Yeah. So before we get to the last few things here, our team is part of this foundation. It's called the Hugh Jackson Foundation. He's a former NFL coach. Now he's coaching at Grambling State University, and we're trying to help him prevent human trafficking, making sure the community stays safe, and we're working towards that. So we'll send you the foundation so you can go check it out.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, and the last thing here. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
What were you gonna say? Oh,
hey, I have a question, Nate. Do you play golf? Any NFL golf tournaments?
Yeah, I play at golf like most people. What's your handicap? Yes, my handicap is yes.
Yeah. So the last thing here, would you like to say anything to all the nurses, doctors, or the essential workers right now?
You know what? Just thank you for everything all the time and the energy and the love that you give that people don't realize, and when you see a kid on the field with a bunch of multi-million-dollar people, and then you see the ambulance come on there and those guys are making $35,000 a year, and they're the most important people on the field at that point in time, that lets they should probably get little raises.
Yes,
because it's huge. Not just the doctors, you know what I mean, but the actual EMT people and those people that actually on the street level, saving lives and getting things done.
So grateful.
Well said. And before we close this out, where can our fans find you on social media? And what do you have coming up next?
You know what? I got I'm on Instagram, the real Nate Turner. I'm on Facebook. You can find me. My picture. It'll be the football picture. But so I've been doing a lot of stuff with the NFL alumni here in Chicago. coat drives. We just did a quarterback camp last weekend. So we're just trying to get active and, pay it forward and help give some kids some knowledge. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, and we're happy to share that whenever we see a post from you. We'll definitely share it on our different media.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Have you done work with Walter Payton's son yet, Jared Payton?
No.
Okay.
No, we need to get more active, and that's when I joined the NFL alumni. Previously, it was a bunch of older guys, and all they wanted to do was golf, and and I'm the type of guy I'd rather get busy and get after it and help some people out, some kids.
Yeah.
And just like with our coat drive, we had 350 coats we gave out right here, over the past couple of weeks, and
that's
it's
great.
Just, it's just stuff where you don't want to, just like, well, you want to take pictures. I don't want to take pictures with these kids because, they're already in a weird situation. Let's just give them the coats. Give me the sizes and we'll get the coats to you and you hand them out. And we can I'll take the picture with the principal, and that's all it is. And, as far as football is concerned, I try to bring the kids around people that will better their lives, that I know will better their lives. And that's it. Just trying to make things better.
Yeah.
Me and Kia are all about that too. And Kia, she has a great platform for reach. I mean, she's connected with athletes also, but we go to like football events all the time in Philly, and she does a great job with that too.
Well, I have an apparel-based company that gives back to different charities and does charity awareness. And then I also have a high-performance consulting group that is professional speaking engagements to help different communities through sports stories and high-performance stories, music as well. But I think one of the keys that I think is important. I mean, the golf does raise money. I asked because I do a lot of different golf tournaments, and that was my goal to play golf, was just to give back and help. I've been to like a lot of places in Philly where people are shot. My friend who promotes a lot of like positivity was mugged just a couple months ago, and then he was, in a shootout today. B. McFly, who's linked up with a lot of great big platforms. But really what it takes sometimes like these different organizations to go down and serve yourself and get in the trenches and knock on the doors with the holes in them where the kids are answering. They're scared to even open the door. And it's just like when we see what needs our aid, then we're more apt to do more and to do it quicker. You know what I mean? So I think it's awesome that you're doing it. And that is my goal, is for everybody to see with compassion, because not everybody's making it. We can be positive, which I am, but we're realists, you know what I mean? And put our help where it's needed.
Agree. 100% agree.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, there you have it. The great Nate the Skate, Nate Turner, former Nebraska NFL tight end, running back. Man, what an honor to have him on the show today. Obviously, thank you to our fans for tuning in and asking questions. Nate, thank you for joining and sharing your stories, and keep up the great work. And man, we would love to have you back on the show down the line, but we should stay connected, obviously. And whenever you come down here, we should meet in person with Kia, and also we'll make a trip to Buffalo and Chicago one day. I have a lot of things on my bucket list I have to get to as a sports journalist. I haven't done yet, but keep up the great work, Nate, and thank you again.
Thank you so much, Nate.
Thank you for having me on. We should get to Buffalo and do the tailgate thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we need the wings.
We got to get drunk with the fans.
Right.
This is awesome, Nate. So great. Thank you and your family too.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot. And I forgot to say good luck to your son, and congrats on his success too.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.